Hey everybody, and welcome to another APA style tutorial. In this one, we are going to stick around in numbers. For my Mac users out there, the iWork suite comes with its own spreadsheet app. It's called Numbers, which makes sense, kinda. You do a lot of number stuff in it. I have numbers in here. Hey, all right, good stuff. All right, so in the last video, I did a bar chart with the same data, okay? But if you did not watch that video and you just want to make a line graph in an APA style line graph in numbers, keep watching. I'll go through this data and then we'll go through the process, and we're gonna use all this white space to make a nice big old thingamajig, right? Big old line graph. Okay, so this data that I have here, these are means from a canned data set exploring the real life situation of stereotype threat associated with math and gender, specifically women and girls doing more poorly when you focus on their math ability than men and boys do. But if you work to build their confidence, then they improve. And that's what we see in the data here. And so a line graph is really going to help us figure out if there is an interaction between just focusing on math skills as instructional feedback or another group where instructional feedback is confidence building. So we're gonna see if there's an interaction. And we're gonna use our interaction visual heuristic without doing any statistics, right? We're gonna see whether or not those lines cross over, or, and more importantly, just from the visual heuristic standpoint, are the lines parallel, right? So that's what we're gonna focus on. That's why we would do a line graph in numbers. Now, numbers is a little weird, but we're getting better at it. So we're gonna go ahead and go through and explain each step as we make this line graph. It's a little finicky. It doesn't work the same way as Excel or Sheets do. So bear with me as we figure the process out, right? And I think my step-by-step process is leads perhaps to the fewest amount of errors. But of course, you can play around with the app in any way that you want to. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and make a line graph. All right. So I'm going to first start by just selecting my means here, because that's all I want to do is I want to plot my means, and then we'll work on adding the labels as we go through the axes. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll take a look at these standard errors, and the standard error, custom standard error, is just like how it works in Excel. So each dot or each point on this line graph is going to have its requisite and purposeful standard error bar associated with it. So keep that in mind as we go through this. We'll do that at the end of the video. So if all you need is how to add error bars and numbers, shoot, skip ahead. I'm sure the custom chapters will figure me out. Okay, so I've got my data selected. I'm gonna go up to chart, and we're gonna click on that, and we are going to grab my 2D chart, which is this one right here. It's really annoying that none of these have labels, so you just kind of got to figure it out. So I'm gonna click on that one, and it's gonna bring up my chart here, and I'm gonna go ahead and make it a little bit bigger, not too big. Okay, and you can see I've got my lines crossing over, so check mark for my interaction. So cool. And then we would look in a statistical program to see whether or not there is an actual statistical interaction. So that's good. Okay, so now we just need to modify this. We've got lots of options, and we'll try to go in order as best we can. And so we'll go through this to make sure that it looks appropriate for APA style. So if you saw my bar chart video, there's not much to change here. Pretty much everything that we do for the chart options is essentially changing the font to Arial so it is readable for everyone. I'm gonna go ahead and leave the make smaller, make bigger for the individual items that we change, and we're just gonna make everything 14-point font. We're not gonna change anything else about the chart options, so we can go directly into the axis options. So it's gonna start us off with the category, which is down here on the x-axis. So we have the axis line, and we also want the axis name. So before I move any further, let's go ahead and double click on this to bring up the font options, because I need to write in gender here. And I'm also going to change this to 14, and I'm gonna hit enter. Okay, so that made that gender 14-point font, and we're gonna leave it centered on the graph from left to right. Okay, perfect. And since I changed the entire chart to Arial, it already knows that it is Arial. So we're gonna go back to clicking on the graph itself to bring back up my axis options. Now here we have our label references. So we need to label this side and this side of the graph. Of course, A4 and A5 are over here in the A4 and A5 are right here. Of course, those aren't the right labels, right? So we're going to get rid of those, and we are going to, oops, nope, I want a comma. So we'll put them in order. There we go. And we put that there, and we got male and we've got female over here on the edge. Hopefully we can change that, but I'm not entirely sure. We don't want any grid lines, right? We don't need grid lines going up, and we don't need any tick marks for these, okay? But I do want to click on this so we can get our 14-point font. And let's go ahead to auto fit labels. Show all category labels. Show custom. Yeah, see, category. It's not really going to do anything. Category intervals. Show every two. No, that's if you had like, yeah, no, we want auto fit categories. I wonder. Nope. See, there's these lines here. Nope. Honestly, I don't. All right, so that's our x-axis. All right, so let's go to y-axis. We want the axis name. Before I go anywhere else, I'm going to go ahead and double click on that to bring up my font options. And we are going to right in here, math test score out of 100. And I'm going to put that there on purpose. Oops, actually, one more thing. I need to change it to 14 point font. There we go. All right. So moving on back to our axis, right? So we did axis name. We also want the axis line, nice black line to add to our horizontal black line. And here I need to change my axis scale, right? It's linear, not logarithmic. So my max, as I just said, out of 100 should be 100, okay? So I'm gonna hit enter there. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna bring the minimum down to 60, which doesn't make any sense. So I actually have to put 0 on here, okay? To have it make actual sense. There you go. That's what's going to happen, right? And we want to make sure that we show the minimum value. Okay, so 0, 25, 4, 75, 100, right? And how we do this is by changing the steps. And the only thing we can do is change the steps. So 100 divided by 4 is every 25, or we could do every 20. I'm going to go ahead and leave it here because in my other one I did every 10. You can change that any way that you want to. We'll go ahead and do every 20. Next thing we need to do is go down here, value labels, same as source data. That's only if we actually wanted to put the values on the graph for each of these points. I don't really want to do that. We don't need any reference lines because these are lines themselves, but we also don't want any grid lines, major grid lines by, right? And of course, we don't want any minor grid lines, but of course we want some help in determining how, where something is. So we'll go ahead and add in one of these tick marks. And I usually use outside tick marks. They make a lot of sense. You can add minor tick marks if you want to, and those will be added every 10. So that's the minor tick marks, but we'll leave those off. Okay. Now we are done with the axes. Okay. Oh, one thing that I forgot to change here is the font for that. There we go, male and female. So we still need to figure out how to make sure we can move these away from the edge of the graph because that doesn't really make any sense, does it? So back to the graph, okay? Let's go to series, okay? And here we have our series. So the data, we have the values. Of course, if I'm just looking at the graph itself, it's including all 4 of these numbers, so it can't actually change anything here. But what I can change is like the value labels, if I wanted to add the numbers here, if I wanted to add a symbol, right? So if I wanted to add circles, good golly, I do not want them to be that big, but we can make them a little bit bigger. How about we make them size 8? There we go. Connection lines are straight. Curved, of course, the curves aren't there. There's no need for trend lines. And we'll talk about error bars here in just a second when we go through each individual one, each individual color here. And that's what we're going to do by editing data references. So let's go ahead and edit our data references. Edit the data references is going to allow us to make sure we have labels up here in our legend, and then allow us to add error bars just via the 2 colored lines. So I want to make sure that I am making sure that the name for my blue line is not some blank ass C1, right? We want it to be C3, and I'm going to go ahead and enter. And it's going to add math skills over here. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. Then I'm going to do the same thing with my green. I'm going to get that one going, and instead of a blank D1, it's going to be D3. D3 school is where I teach. So I'm going to hit enter, and you can see it is position number 2. So here we go. This is our data set, right? And then we can add error bars along here, but I'm curious. Nope. Everything I do it for you. See, can we align these objects? Show title, hide legend, align object, distribute. Yeah, see, I'm not entirely sure how we break this out. I would really like to be able to do that. Connection line is straight. Yeah, see, that's gives me the line, but it doesn't allow me to... What if I have a nope, border is that? Interesting. Very, very interesting. D4 and D5. Yeah, I don't want to change that. Let's exit out of that. I'm not a fan of that style. Kind of not. I kind of wish there was something you could do about that. Align. Yeah, see? And this is just the position of it. Yeah, that's just the position and size of the actual thing. That's a bit of a bummer. That is a bit of a bummer. So if anybody knows how to move the data points from the edge of the graph and move these inward, that would be great. That would be great. Quick Google search didn't lead me to anything. So let's go ahead and do the error bars here to end this video because that's the last important thing to make this APA style. Before I do that though, I'm gonna go up to the legend and I wanna go ahead and double click on this and go to style and go to 14 because I want everything to be the right size. Of course we want, and I can make the legend bigger or smaller. That's nice. So let's go ahead and add error bars. So I have the blue math skills line selected. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on error bars, and I want positive and negative error bars, but I don't want fixed values. Of course, that would be weird. I want custom values, and by default, it puts in 10 for some reason. I'm going to go ahead and change this to the actual values on my spreadsheet here, right? So 3.43 plus and minus is 470, and 3.67 is for plus or minus 61.86. I'm going to put them in the exact order here as this data is. It's going to read them as the exact way that they should be read in order. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, And that's how we're going to do it. So these are my positive values. I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to do the same for it again. Positive and negative values. And then hit enter. And again, we've got our error bars showing up on the actual axis. And I hate it so much. I wish I could change that, but I can't. So that's annoying. So bully for me. And now I'm going to do the same thing for the green bar, my confidence building. I'm going to go to error bars and I'm going to go to positive and negative. And I'm going to change this from fixed value to custom values. And I'm going to select the 10, delete it. And 63.71 should have 3.67 plus or minus. And 76.25 should have 3.343 plus or minus 1, 2, 1, 2. So there we go. It's going to put that in the same order. And I'm going to do that for my negative values as well. 1, 2, 1, 2. And we're going to hit enter. And there you go. Those are my error bars. And of course, there's some overlap going on over here, which is really annoying. Edit chart data. Yeah, no, I don't know. Click on here. Oh, did I make these? No, I didn't. Oops. 14, enter. There we go. All right. So there we have it. There we have the line graph. Over here, it's a little messy, so don't look over there. It's fine. We'll figure it out. We'll auto fit. Yeah, auto fit doesn't do anything there. Order is 1. Value is this. Yeah, that's all. It's all solid gold. I just want it to be offset from y-axis. This one's fine. I just want this to be offset. I just want this to move. Oh, well. That is how you make an APA style line graph to plop into your Word document, your Google Doc, or if you're using iWork, your Pages document for APA style. And there you go. It's all good. We've got the dots. We've got the error bars. Everything's solid gold. We might have an interaction between gender and the math skills / confidence building. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or other feedback, please leave those in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.